Hello friends, we're about to start an amazing course in Excel for dashboards. Now make sure that you tune into every segment of this course because it has been tailored in such a way that even if you're new to Excel, you can be able to understand and be able to apply this at your place of work. So we're going to concentrate first on how you can be able to create dashboards if you're in human resource. Then from there we'll move on and create other things like project management dashboards, accounting dashboards, all those. So stay glued. So right now what we're going to start with, let's dig in. Now if you could be owning a company or you're owning you're in an organization. Now you need to be able to track the attendance of your employees. Now you can be able to create a very simple attendance tracker in Microsoft Excel. Now let me show you what at the end of the day you'll be able to create. In this attendance tracker, you've got the name of the employee, the supervisor name. Here it indicates to you how much they have been present, how many days have they been present in that particular period. Then to tell you how many week off days, for instance, if there were a holiday or there was a holiday, it was a weekend, all those. Then you have to look at how many were on leave. Okay, so this was the planned leave which they were on, and this one was the unplanned leave, which means they were absent from work without permission. Okay, then you've got the part for the percentage. Now you look at what is the percentage of attendance. Okay, so if you look at what is the percentage of the attendance and what is the percentage of the planned leave and unplanned leave. Just above here you have some key statistics which will show you on a particular day. You'll be able to pick a particular day here, then you can be able to check out on what day how the statistics were on a particular day. Attendance on that particular day was this much, and the number of leave on that particular day was that, and what was the number of unplanned, and all sorts. Okay, so this is by a simple step. When you come below here, if you said present by mistake, you can come here and correct it and say probably unplanned leave, which means the person was absent. Okay, so having seen this, we're going to create a new sheet. So what I'll just pick up from here so that I don't waste time typing things, I'm just going to pick up this data here. The rest we can easily build on from it. Control N, we go to a new sheet. Then in our new sheet here we can come and paste what we just copied. That's all we are copying. Okay, alright, so here we can probably say we can give the sheet the name tracker. There we go. Alright, so now the next thing that we want is to be able to give the employee names. Now in this case, if you've got your employee name somewhere, you can just go copy them and then come and paste them here. But if you in this case, since for demo purposes, we'll give some dummy names, so we'll just give them EMP, standing for employee. So this is employee 1. Okay, then we'll just drag this down. We'll drag it down. Okay, probably we have got that number of employees. Okay, so we've got employee 1, employee 2. Okay, alright, now on the supervisor we can give them some dummy names such as super, then super 1, super 2, just like that. Alright, so this is super 1. Then we'll use fill down. There we go. On the present, absent, we'll come back to these ones. Okay, so when you've done this, the next thing that we want to do is to bring up our dates here. So let's take, for instance, we want today. So for today, what we'll do is that we use control semicolon, we'll enter our today's date. Okay, then we'll backtrack this one. I didn't want to type it, the whole of it. We'll backtrack it to 1st January. We'll have it in 1st January, but we want to change the format of this date. So to change the format of this date, we'll press Control 1 just to format this cell. So we're dealing with date, and the type of date that we want is, we want the day and the month. Okay, then we pick that. This is how you come up with this formatting. Then the other thing that we would want to do is to twist, because we are going to deal with a number of days, so we want to twist this so that it becomes upside down. So Control 1, then you go on alignment, then here you see your text, you can just shift it to vertical, so it's a 90-degree 10. Okay, then we say okay, so your data is turned. Now we can drag this across. Let's drag this across, probably up to there. All right, then what we would do is, let's highlight, let's do this. We'll pick up this, highlight this up to the point we ended. Okay, then if we highlight, we come just on any cell in between, then double click just to resize to what is in the cell. Okay, so now we have our months, of which if we want, we can copy this format. Let's copy this format. So we go to the format painter, then drag across to take that format. Okay, there we go. All right, it's a time saver. Then the other thing that we would want to do is that here on top, we want to be able to know if the day is, we want to know the particular day, what day it is. For instance, on 01 January, what day was it? So to know the day, we use a simple formula, which is text. Now the value which we're looking at is that date there, comma, the formatted text. On the formatted text here, we are just asking ourselves, in what format do you want that date that you have picked up? Now the format that we want is supposed to be in the day format, so we'll use DDD, 3 Ds, in order to be able to know that it is Wednesday. The best shortcut which you can use for a day is the 3 first letters of a day. So we can be able to pick up that, then just put DD, just 3 Ds. If you put 2 Ds, it will get the first 2 letters. If you put 3 Ds, to get the first 4 letters. And make sure you put it in double quotation. Sorry for that. Double quotation. Okay. So if I press enter, it will return to me the Wednesday here. When I drag this across, there you go. You have all the days. So you've got Wednesday, all those. So we can just drag this across just to be able to resize to the right size. There we go. All right, and we can format this. Let's give it a different color. Let's see, we'll give it a lighter green or a lighter blue. A lighter blue would do better. Then the text will give it white. There we go. All right, so we forgot, we can just copy this format, then paste it also here. There we go. All right, now that we've done this, let's come down here and be able to create, because on our data we need to be able to create an input system. So create a drop down list for all this data. So the drop down list will be cover all this area, okay, up to 44. So what I'll do is this. I'll highlight this part. I'm going just to zoom out a bit so that we can have the whole space to ourselves. So what I'll do is that I'll first highlight the data area that I want this to happen. So up to somewhere 44. I should be right there. Okay, there we go. Alright, so now the next thing that I want to do is to go to my data validation. To my data validation, I have to go to data, then validation, then under settings I'm going to pick list. Then under list, what I'm dealing with is that if the person is present, it should be represented by a P, so I'll put my P here, comma. If that day is a work day, so I'll put it's a holiday, or probably it's a week off, we'll put WO. Then if it is a planned leave, PL. Then if it is unplanned leave, we'll put the UL. When that is done, we just say okay. Alright, now the next thing that we want to do is that on all those which are Saturday and Sunday, in our working culture, we know that Saturday and Sunday is an off working day for most organizations. So we pick WO, and to make this easy, we'll just drag this across down up to somewhere 40 there, then drag it even to the Saturday. So we'll do this for all the Saturdays. So we'll copy this, then we'll go to another Saturday and Sunday. So our next one is here, paste there. Next one is here, paste there. Next one is here, paste. Then we move on to that one also. Which one is it? Saturday is there, paste. Then okay, that was the last one. Okay, now that we have done that, we want to be able, we'll put some dummy data in here. So we'll take it as though because the percentage of people who are present usually is higher, so we'll put present, then we will put it in all of these. Then we'll come and just easily pick up. I'll copy that, place that there, then drag this across. There we go. Then we'll copy all this present. Don't worry, I'm just putting these randomly just to be able to demonstrate this. Okay, there we go. All right, so now we have our presents. Okay, so now in this table, I'll zoom out a bit. Let's bring it to the center. So what I want to do is to be able to pick randomly that the person was on planned leave. This on this day it was also a planned leave. Then just randomly, this is going to be randomly. Okay, So we'll do all these. All right. Now after this, the next thing that you want to do is to add some conditional formatting to this. So the conditional formatting that we are saying is that if on a particular date, let's come back here. So the conditional formatting that we want to put here is to say if the value is present, give me the color green. So I'll pick up this data, the whole table. So I'm using Control Shift to my right side and down arrow to pick up the whole data. Then I'll go to my conditional formatting under Home. Then I'll go to conditional formatting. Then if I'll say highlighting rule, then I'll say equal to. Then if the value is equals to P, I want the color to be, let's pick a custom color here, to be green. So which means all where it's P, it will be green. Okay. So now that we've known that P is representing the green, let's look at what happens if the value is PL. So RS is still highlighted, we go to conditional formatting, then we say highlighting rule. If it is planned leave, then we go to equals. So planned leave is PL, it's represented by PL. So if it's planned leave, let's put a custom color. So planned, we can give it some blue. Okay, so we'll give it blue color. So these were planned leave, but those which were not planned, we'll give them a different color. So if you were not planned, it wasn't a planned leave, we'll give it a red. So if it's equal to UL and planned leave, let's pick a red color for you. There we go. Then we can say okay, it has been enforced. And for those that it was a week holiday or a week off, we'll go and pick this, go to highlighting rule, then equal to, then in this case week off, WO, we'll give it a more subtle color that will be some gray. There we go. All right, you can pick better colors. All right, so if we do that, you can even make sure that the wordings can be in white, whichever you choose to be. Okay, so now we have done this. The next thing that we want to do is to be able to start calculating. What we have here is we want to find out on these days that we have listed here, how many times has the person been present. So to find out how many times this person has been present, we'll use a familiar formula, which is count if. So count if just simply allows you to be able to count. So count if. So we're using one criteria, so we can use the if. Our range here is from this point to that point. Okay, that is our range. So we can say comma. The criteria that we're using is that it should contain P. So double quotation. Remember, when you're putting a text in your formula, always put it in double quotation. Okay, press enter. So now we know that the people who have been this employee has been present 26 times in these listed days. Okay, so that now that we've done this, we can drag this formula down, or we can just double click here to use the fill handle. Double click and it will fill for each employee. So this other employee has been there 28 days, the other one 28, 27, just like that. All right, Now we want to find out how many times this person, or how many holidays have been present during the tenure of this person's of this employee according to this list. We'll say count ifs, so count ifs. Now the next thing that we are asking for is the range. Then now in this case, what we'll do is that we'll lock this such that it doesn't go in the columns, so that we can just drag across for the rest of the formulas. Okay, so we'll say F4. Now we want to lock the columns only, which means we are locking the letters, so it will be F4 again to lock only the letters, comma. The criteria that we're using here is WO, which is double quotation, WO, double quotation, close. If I press enter, it will tell me how many of days were there and we'll have them down there. So we'll see some it was 11, but mostly it was 10. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll drag this across for the other two, which is the planned leave and unplanned leave. Then we'll drag this down. Let's drag this down, and let's drag this down. So there's a small thing that we need to do here. On the planned leave, here it's not WO, but it will be PL. Alright, so PL, so we see that the planned leave in these days there were 2. Then for this one, which is unplanned leave, so we remove that, then we put unplanned leave, which is UL. We'll know how many there were, so we'll see there was 1 there, just like that. Okay, so you can come to the last value, counter check. You see that okay, it's picking from the right value here, and you've got the UL there. You can counter check for the other one, just like that. It's a safety rule. Okay, now that you have done that, I want to find out what is the attendance percentage. Now for me to be able to calculate the attendance percentage, which means it is the number of attendees divided by the total number of employees. Now in this case we're talking about employees who are supposed to be present. I'm not talking about people who are on planned leave, but I'm talking about people who are supposed to be present. Okay, so to do this, we'll say equals our present number divided by now we are going to sum up the present number plus the unplanned people who have not come. Then we'll press enter. Then you'll see that here we're getting 1 because the total number, all these days, those who are supposed to be there came through. But if you look at this, this is planned leave, which means the person asked for permission, they were granted that permission, so they are not absent, so we don't include them in the attendance percentage. Okay, but in the case that, for instance, on this day this person who was on unplanned leave, you see that it drops the calculation there. Okay, so let's drag this down. Okay, so we'll see that for some we had 100%, just like that. Okay, all right, so after doing this, the next thing that you want to do is come and calculate the percentage of those who did a planned leave. Now those who did a planned leave, it will be calculated on planned leave divided by the total number of employees. So we'll say equals not total number of employees, we're talking about the total number of days. Okay, so the planned leave, how many planned leave days did the person miss or have, then divided by the total number of days in which they were supposed to be at work. You're not going to include the working off days, no. All right, so what we're going to do is pick our values. So our planned leave is this one here, divided by we're gonna pick open bracket, we're picking our present plus our unplanned leave plus the planned leave. Okay, then we close, then we press enter, then you can be able to drag this down. Okay, and planned leave, it's the same thing which we're going to do. We say equals. Now what we're going to do here is okay, we'll pick this one, divided by open bracket present plus planned plus unplanned, then close, press enter, there we go. Alright, so these are just calculations. If your organization does it differently, no problem, it's just what you include, what you can't include. So I highlight that, drop down, I'm just highlighting everything here. So if I highlight everything, then I press Ctrl 1 just to format the cells. So this should be in percentage, and we want it down to 0 decimal places. If we do that, there we go. Alright, so we've just changed this to percentages. Then we want to introduce on this one some bar charts. So on attendance, drop down, we go to conditional formatting, then we want to include some data bars. So this is on attendance, we use the green color, we'll pick that one. Okay, there we go. So we see how the attendance was. Then on this one, planned leave, on planned leave, what color do we use for planned leave here? Okay, we used blue, so come use our blue here. That was for planned leave. Then for unplanned leave, we'll use our red color there, data bars. Then we go and pick, okay, then which one, I think we'll pick that one. Okay, there we go. All right, so now whatever changes in the data, you'll see it reflected in your data. Okay, you'll see that happening in your data. There we go. All right, so now that we have done this, we have found we know the percentage of people that were present, people were not present, all that. The next thing that we're going to do is create our charts on top. Okay, now these charts on top, what we want to do is that on a particular day, we want to find out the statistics on a particular day. These statistics that we have on the sides here, these ones, they are based on a period of time. So for instance, present, this person was present on this number of days according to this list here. But now we want to find out on a particular day, how was the attendance, which means I want to look at, if I look at Wednesday, which means I want to go down with Wednesday rather, and check how the attendance was on Wednesday. Was there a person who missed? Was there a person who was on an unplanned? All those. Okay, So this, the way we're going to do it, we'll create some tabs here which can be able to show us these statistics. Okay, so the statistics, we're just merging the cells. Okay, so we're looking at about, and paste it there, 1, 2, okay, about 6. Okay, let's put one more. All right. Okay, so now what we will do is, this one is for present, then we can pick this one, pick that one, pick that one, no problem. Then below here we can come and insert, let's pick something here, we'll pick a shape, so we can pick that shape, bring it just below here, so we can give it a name of present. Let's just change the shape color and give it that color, so we can say present Then our alignment here, under alignment, what we'll do is that we'll go to home, then press that one there. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll copy this, then paste it a number of times, then bring it over the other, okay. Alright, now the thing about formatting takes a little bit of time because you have to be more precise. Okay, so what the next thing that I would do is that I'm going to highlight all of them just by pressing Ctrl A, then under alignment, and I'll go to format, then align top, I'll pick the top one, align top, then evenly distribute this, so I'll say horizontal distribution must be equal. Alright, there we go. So one is present, one is weekly days off, then the other, so we can come here and so okay, so I'll just put weekly off, then the next one is should be planned leave. Okay, I'll just use the symbol there. This is unplanned leave. This is attendance. Then this one is okay, the percentage of the leave. Okay, so we can put up that. Alright, so this is the percentage of the leave and this is the percentage of the leave of the attendance. Then the next thing that we want, we can give these ones separate colors, so we can have that color there, we can have different colors. Okay, all right, now that we've done this, the next thing that we want is to be able to pick up these days. Now how do we pick up these days? We'll come here, then create something, let's say on the days, let's merge these cells here. We can merge these cells. Then the next thing that we can do is to insert, let's go to data, then on data validation, pick up list, under list, our source here, our source of data will be these days here, so these dates here, so pick up the dates, then we can say okay. So when we come here, we can pick a particular date. Now you'll see that there is a change here which is happening. So there are ways you can be able to do this. You can come and just make it date, or let's just copy this format here, copy that format. Oh no, it's upside down. Okay, what we'll do is to escape. What we'll do is just to control 1, escape, control 1, then we go to date, then we'll pick that format. There we go. All right, then you can make it fancy if you wish to, so that as you are picking the date, you're seeing there's a discrepancy. Okay, all right, there's a difference rather. There we go. So now the next thing that we want to do is to be able to pick a date here, and we need this to be able to be updated. So we need all these to be updated when we pick a date. Now for us to be able to do this, we need to write a simple formula, which is the offset formula. Now this formula, the way we're going to write it is that when you pick a particular day, like 1st January, which is this one, it should give me all this data here. Then after it has given me all this data, I'll ask it to say how many were present in this data, how many are weeks off in this data, how many planned leave in this same data. If I pick another date, for instance 5th, this one, it should tell me how many planned leave, how many working days, all those. I should be able to get all this information by just a click of a particular day. It's very simple. Look at this. So I'm going to write the formula somewhere here outside so that we can easily be able to follow it. So I'll come here, rather let me come and write the formula here so that we see where we are beginning from. Right, so I've zoomed in to make it easier for you. So I'm saying equals, then I'm saying offset. Now offset is a formula that you'll be able to use for many things, and in this case we're going to use it just to be able to return an array of data. All right, so to do this, we'll pick up our reference point. Your reference point is the part whereby you want the function to start from. Okay, so we are starting from here, but our data which we're interested in is here down. Okay, so we'll lock this one by pressing F4, then comma. It's asking me how many rows should I offset, which means how many rows from where I am should I move. So here I want it to move 1 row down. Okay, which means I'm closer to my data, so I want it to move 1 row down. Okay, comma. How many columns should I move from here? So on the number of columns, I want it, when it picks January, it should be able to move from here 1 column. But if it picks this one, which is 2nd January, it should move 1, 2. If it picks this one, 1, 2, 3. You get the point. So now to do this, I'll use my match function, which is match. What is my lookup value? My lookup value is this one here, because this is where I'm picking my data from. So in this case, that's the 6th January. So whatever is in that value is what I'll be picking. I'll lock this one by pressing F4. I don't want it to move. So F4, what it does is that it just locks your cells such that they don't just move up and down. It's part of what we call mixed cell referencing. Okay, comma. What is my lookup array? Now, where do I want to pick this value from? I'm picking this value from these here. These are the days which I want to pick up the values from. Okay, so I lock them by pressing F4 again, then automatically it just takes me back to where my data is. Okay, so I've picked where this data is. Then the next thing that this argument asks for is that what type of a match do you want this to be? So I want it to be an exact match, so I come and pick 0. Okay, then I close for the match function. Now the next thing which I'm asking here is what should be the height. Okay, so we want to return the data which comes below here. So when it has picked, for instance, 6th January, so it knows that the cell that the data that it's picking from is that it's here, but it's asking me how many rows should I go down, or what is the height of this. So I have to go down how many steps to pick that data. So for it to go down, I want it to go down how many steps from this 8th cell up to the 44. Okay, so for me to go down, which means I have to subtract the top cells. So it's starting from 8, which means 44 minus 7, which takes us to 30. It should be 37 or something. Okay, if we miss it, we'll solve it later on. So which means on our data that we're dealing with, we're saying that it should go down 37 cells. Okay, comma. Now it's asking me what should be the width. Okay, so what should be, I forgot to put a comma just before the third. So it's asking me what should be the width. Now the width, I just wanted to have 1. Every time I just want to have 1 column. So our width should just be 1. Then I can close for this one. Then if I press enter, of course we have a value error. But what you don't see happening in the background, let me just zoom in. If I double click on this formula, I highlight it, then I press F9, you see that it is returning these values. Which the values are they? The first one is this one. Remember, we are dealing with sixth. The 6th. Where's the 6th? This one here. So we see the first value is PL, then the next value is P, all these. So all these values are being retained in our data. All right. So if we see this, then we know that Excel is able to pick our data. So press Ctrl Z to return the formula. So what we'll do is we'll copy, Ctrl Z, we'll copy this formula here, the offset formula. We'll copy it, escape, then we'll go to our data, or rather formulas, then go to define name. We want to give a name to this formula, so we'll give it a name of let's say this is select. All right, or select, just like that. You can give it any name, just make sure that you don't put a space in your name if you give it 2. Then we'll come and paste our formula here, which is the offset formula. Then we'll say okay. So what has happened here is that this formula, I've put it up in here. So I don't longer need this here. It was just for me to show you how this formula is working. So I got my name manager. This is the one, select. So if I click on it, boom, you see that it is actually showing you the data which it is picking. So let's scroll down. Okay, we're right in our calculations. It's picking up to the last value. Okay, all right, we can close this. We can come back and select a different date. Let's pick 1st January. We've picked 1st January. Now let's see what our formula is showing us. So we go back to manage, and if I click on my formula to test it, you see that 1st January has been picked. Okay, this is my 1st January, it has been picked. There we go. All right, so now we are confident that this formula is working, but we're not done yet. What we need to do now is to be able to know how many were present on January, out of the employees that we have, how many were present? So we'll say equals, now we'll use the COUNTIF function to calculate how many were present. Now how you do this is this. We'll say count ifs, or count if, there's no problem. So our criteria range, now our criteria range here is in the naming range. So at times, if you remember the name, you can be able to type it and say select. You'll see that it has appeared under your formula bars there. Or if not, you can press F3. Then your names which you have named, you can appear here. You can double click and pick it. Right. Comma. Now what is our criteria that we are using? In this case, it is P. So double quotation P. There's no problem even if you use capital letter or small letter, but just maintain consistency of what you use. All right. So now we know that what we have here is 35. If you remember, we counted our rows going down. We were quite about 37. You see that this one and this one are subtracted because they're not P. Okay. There we go. So now we know how many we have there which were present. How many were present on January 2nd? You see that it was 34. Now we have to do this for this one, for that one, for that one, for that one, and for that one. Now to do this, what we'll do is that we'll come here, copy this, then we'll paste here as formula, and then we'll come here, paste here as formula. We'll come and change some few things, but just do it like this so that we don't take much of the time. Then we'll come here and put also, this is on the attendance percentage. Okay, attendance percentage we'll calculate it differently. Escape. So weekly off days. On weekly off days, we're just changing here to WO. Okay, WO. So we find our weekly off day was 1. This is the one which is appearing here. Then on, this is, which one is this? This PL. Okay, planned leave, excuse me, planned leave we've got 2, and planned leave we've got 0. Okay, so let's come over here, change this to first. We see that there's a change, there's no off days, planned leave. So on the first, if I come here and I update that to say this day is a week day off, you'll see that it is going to be updated. All right, now we move on to our attendance. We want to find out what was the percentage of attendance here. Now remember the formula for attendance percentage. So what we need to do is to be able to calculate the total number of those who were present, then divide it by the number of those who were absent. Okay, all right, so let's do this. We'll go here. Now remember that we have already dealt with this one, present and unplanned leave. So what we'll do is that we'll come here and say equals, then we'll say those which were present divided by open bracket present plus unplanned. Then we can close for that one, press enter. There we go. We just have to format it. We'll just pick up what will we pick up here, Control 1. Then we can be able to give this what's that, percentage. There we go. We narrow it down to that 1 decimal place. So we know that the attendance was 97%, of which it's quite good. Okay, this one I'll leave it to you to be able to calculate what was the percentage of those which were on planned leave. What was the percentage for those which were on planned leave? Okay, so you can calculate the percentage for that. Okay, so I don't stretch this video so much by starting to format to make a few changes here and there. I want you just to be able to create it up to this point. There are other things that you can do. You can remove the background. You can make sure that your data here is properly formatted. All those, I'll not go into the nitty-gritties of formatting your data because I don't want this video to be too long. Okay, so this is how you can be able to create an attendance sheet. So if I come here, I can come and update, check and see on the 6th June how it was. If I didn't change something here, I can come pick up that. Okay, there we go. Alright, so if you have got any question, please feel free to be able to ask, then I can be able to assist you one or two things. But this is the core principle behind creating this simple attendance sheet. Alright, thank you so much.